we're not only sharing about the work of Jesus, but that we are becoming the disciples of Jesus, so that everything that we do, the people around us, whether they're Christians or not, will look at our lives and glorify the Lord and say, there's something different about you, that there's something in your life or in your marriage or in your family that's different. And I always tell them, it's because I follow Jesus in my life. It's because I follow the example of Christ. I think I've been here quite a few times for many years. But the last time I came here was in 2019, which was right before the COVID, right before the pandemic. So yeah, so it's been almost 5 years since the last time I came. As we were doing the workshop the whole day today here in Bangkok, I see that there's a lot more young people involved. More young generation to be involved, which is a great sign for a church, because I think a great sign for growth is when we involve the next generation, and I see that in Bangkok. So yeah, I think that's something that is very positive, that I see a lot more young people in the ministry or coming to events like this.
It's a known fact that the ministry with the most headaches for senior pastors, it's always the creative team or the praise and worship team. I know for a fact, because I used to be I guess I'm still in the creative, and I always give headaches to our senior pastor. I give headaches to Pastor Alfie as well.
Well, I think it's the same challenge, especially today, where Christianity or religion is just, it's so much different than the years before us, where there's a rise in spirituality, but in terms of people going to church is actually in decline. So there's a big change in terms of right after the pandemic, right after COVID. But at the same time, because we are quite similar in a way that Christianity in Thailand and Christianity in Indonesia, we're the minority, we're not the majority. I know that here with Buddhism, or Indonesia with the majority are Muslims. So in terms of sharing the gospel, sharing or doing what we do, what we call the evangelism, it is quite a challenge in terms of that we just have to do it in a different way, that it's not just simply about sharing about the gospel on the streets or anywhere we meet, but I think it's more important now that we become an example in the way we live, that we're not only sharing about the work of Jesus, but that we are becoming the disciples of Jesus, so that everything that we do, the people around us, whether they're Christians or not, will look at our lives and glorify the Lord and say, there's something different about you, that there's something in your life or in your marriage or in your family that's different. And I get that a lot when people say, how can you stay married for 20 years or raise a beautiful family with children who are amazing? And I always tell them, it's because I follow Jesus in my life. It's because I follow the example of Christ. And I think that's, for me, it's an evangelism that is not as necessarily the same as evangelizing in the streets, singing Christian songs in the street or sharing books and verses or tracts about Jesus, but it's more about us being an example of Christ everywhere we go. And if we can do that, whether here in Bangkok or in Thailand or in Indonesia, in Jakarta or anywhere, I think then people will see Jesus through our lives. And for me, that's the greatest evangelism there is. There's a quote, I think it's from Pastor Billy Graham said this, that we are the Bible that the world never read. And I think that's the truth. Maybe the majority of people in Thailand have never read a Bible, but they can see your life and my life and say, there's something different about you, and I could tell them that it's all about Jesus. I mean, that's just amazing. In 2028 will be the 200th anniversary of the first Christian missionary in Thailand. I think that's amazing. I'm not even sure when is the first time in Indonesia, but I really encourage you. Again, like I said, that the greatest evangelism is not simply about just sharing stories about Christ and the church, but it's more about how we conduct our lives and how we become the example of Christ. The goal of every single one of us is to be like Christ, right? That's the goal of every followers of Christ. Christians means followers of Christ. It means that we just have to follow Him, follow His examples, follow His teachings. And I think if we can do that, then the world will see us as somebody who is different. We are in the world, but we are not of the world. That we are a representative. We are the ambassadors of Christ here on earth. And I truly believe within 4 years, in 2028, something amazing is going to happen, and the presence of God and the anointing of God will flow here in Bangkok, in Thailand.